There's this story that I was told years ago about a man who lived on a piece of land and he was mining for diamonds. He kept digging and digging and digging and he didn't find any diamonds. So he thought, what if I just move? If I move over there, I'll be sure to find some diamonds. He moved, kept digging, kept digging, kept digging. He didn't find anything. Little did he know that the person who bought his previous property actually ended up striking and finding diamonds. Now the thing is we talk about in entrepreneurship about how sometimes it takes a little bit longer to actually get there, but sometimes you're right there before you hit the diamonds. And so that's kind of what I wanted to lean into today, is how can we actually change our subconscious frame of mind in order to get the gold, to get the diamonds, because your subconscious mind and the identities that you're still carrying are going to affect how you're going to build your dream life. I have recently been watching the creator Sabah Ali. She is great, and I honestly have been following her for a while because of my good friend Kyle, who recommended her page. She has broken down a lot of concepts in a way that I never thought I would understand further, because recently I've been on my own journey about what it means to reprogram the mind and how I can start talking to myself better. And those may seem like very small things, but when you're building a brand and when you're building a business and when you're an entrepreneur, those things are actually key to your growth, because you actually want to drive success and drive people to your business, but you can't do that when you're not okay, like up here. That's why yesterday on Sunday, I watched like 3 or 4 of her videos and I took a bunch of notes, but I wanted to kind of show that in the concept of brand and how I think that when you're building a brand, it's a much more emotional process than people give it. And so if you're new to this page, I'm a branding coach. I go through brand and content strategy, and I just love it. When I love helping with entrepreneurs and coaches and creatives, I just think that there's more to it. I think that it's not just one thing. So that's why I chose today's topic. So one thing to note about the subconscious mind is that it's how we talk to ourselves, our beliefs, our emotions, actions, etc. And I would say someone could probably argue and be like, Sam, what does this have to do with brand and whatnot? Like, yes and no. So there's elements of this that I like to talk about with my clients. I actually write about this a lot in my Substack called Brand Therapy Notes, because I actually end up doing a lot of brand therapy with my clients. But so this is how I broke it down. If I'm honest, whenever I work with clients, how we talk about ourselves, believe in ourselves, think about our goals, manifest things, our subconscious brain is truthfully always getting in the way of bringing us back to comfortability. So I want to talk to you guys about a concept that I like to call phantom thoughts. Have you guys ever heard of phantom pain? Like, it's when you're a burn victim or you happen to be an amputee. One of the things that your brain consciously signals when you have something that kind of just feels like it's either not there or that it's like a scar is like your brain signals that you're meant to have pain there. And so I basically have this definition from Google. Phantom pain is a sensation or pain or other feelings like itching, tingling, or pressure in a limb or body part that has been amputated or is missing, occurring because the brain sends signals to the absent part and the lack of feedback causes distress. It's a neurological phenomenon where the brain's map of the body tries to reorganize, often causes intense sensations like burning, cramping, or stabbing in the missing area. So this was really interesting to me. And so I brought up this concept with my clients and I call it phantom thoughts, because it's relative to phantom pain, but it's like a mental echo of who you used to be. It's like their outdated beliefs, fears, identities that no longer match your present reality, but still show up and influence your decisions. Much like phantom pain, they're no longer attached to anything real, yet they feel convincing enough to keep you operating from familiarity instead of growth. I think this is very key here, because when we're thinking about brand, I thought about this in the sense of, regardless of what stage that you're at, you still have to walk across a bridge to get to the other side of things, meaning you still have to get from point A to point Z by working through your limiting beliefs, working through fear, working through obstacles, working through hardships, working through downfalls. I wouldn't be a very good coach if I told you that it's all sunshine and rainbows. It literally means that you have to go through the hard things all the time. And I'm constantly talking about this with my friends. I really am. Like, all of my friends who are entrepreneurs, really, it's one of those things that like only the people who are in it get it. And especially creatives, influencers, whoever's like really in the space where you have to grind and make something different happen, you know that everyone has had a rock bottom and has had to do something different than they've ever had to do before and change their beliefs, change their thought patterns, and change the way that they are actually creating aligned action in order to become successful, in order to create their dream life. So why do I bring up phantom thoughts and the subconscious mind? Because They kind of go together, obviously, because the subconscious mind controls a lot, but phantom thoughts are kind of like in the mix of things. Since I've had so many conversations about this with clients, I figured it really does affect how you show up in your brand, the confidence when you sell, your brainstorms when you content create. It's like a shadow that sometimes feels like it's not going away until it does. You proactively have a choice every single day to choose something different, but it takes a lot of work. So that's why I want to break down the steps. Basically what Sabah Ali said in her subconscious mind is secretly controlling you video. She broke down these steps, but I'm kind of applying it in the brand sense as well as your creator. So if you want, I'll link her video in the description. You can go watch it because she breaks it down so smoothly. So I'm going to try and do my best and do that here. The first lesson is your personality is created by what you choose to identify yourself with. Keep that in mind. I'm going to come back to that because I want to explain two things. Basically, we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And these are actually really important for you guys to understand for the context of this video. So let me explain it like this. The conscious mind is the part of the brain that is actively online right now. It is the voice in your head that notices things, makes choices, and decides how to respond in the moment. It's the part of you that says, I'm thinking this, I feel this, and I'm choosing to do this. If your mind was a house, the conscious mind is the room with the lights on. It's where your attention is living in this current moment in time. Whatever your focus is on, worrying about, analyzing, or intentionally changing is happening in the conscious mind. The conscious mind handles things like thinking through decisions, being aware of emotions, choosing what to say or do, questioning your own thoughts, learning something new on purpose. So it's a very different side of things, but it's just the way that we think, live, and breathe. Your subconscious mind is a part of your brain that runs in the background without asking your permission. It stores everything that you've learned through experience, repetition, emotion, and survival, especially from early in your life. If your mind, again, were a house, the subconscious is everything that's built behind the walls. You do not see it, but it does decide how the house functions. Basically like everything in the background. So it's the plumbing, the foundation. You're not necessarily thinking about it, but it is always doing something, and it's basically the core of a house that makes it run. The subconscious mind handles things like habits and routines, emotional reactions you did not choose, beliefs about yourself, money, love, safety, and worth, patterns you repeat even when you swear you will not, and the immediate gut response before logic necessarily shows up. So I just kind of wanted to keep that in mind because that was an important part of her video. And I kind of want to elaborate on that because you obviously have two schools of thought. And I feel like that's where that comes from. I have to do more research on that exact, origin of that quote. So back to your personality is created by what you choose to identify yourself with. I feel like this goes back to phantom thoughts because this is all about the things that you've been told that you're too loud, you're too shy, or maybe that you are just shy. Maybe you dress funny, you talk funny. Whatever it is, it kind of creates an emotional reaction. And so you then ultimately create a personality around it because that reaction made you feel some type of way. For example, when I was in a previous relationship, my light was really bright and it's always been really bright, but that was too much for that person. And so they kind of made me feel really bad about my personality, who I was, how loud I was, how I reacted to things. And so that ultimately transformed myself into being kind of a shell of a human. Like I really didn't know who I was and what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. They were so dimmed for a very long time. So that being said, that took me a while to kind of recultivate the courage and come out and have the confidence just to be myself again. That being said, whatever that is for you, you kind of have to think about sometimes how that comes out in content creation, your business, your relationships with people, when you're growing things, when you're becoming a content creator. Because ultimately, you kind of have these little shadows. You kind of have these little reminiscent things that you really have to build past in order to be successful. And it really is a mind game because when she talks about manifesting, and that's probably for another video, she talks about how you have to create aligned action. You have to think about your thoughts, beliefs, actions, emotions all the time because it's about aligning with the frequency. It's about creating and acting as if. And that statement in itself means like, if I'm going to become a millionaire this year, then what is my millionaire self doing? Those types of questions. So if you do want to manifest something in your life, one, totally recommend her channel because I'm not the ultimate expert on that. I'm kind of divulging what I've learned with you guys. But The point is actually to follow through. It's to do something different. It's to change your mentality. What we have to kind of recognize here, and through that, your personality is created by what you choose to identify with. You end up reinforcing an identity that people place upon you. It basically creates that identity to protect you from ever feeling like that again. Just something to think about and something to keep in mind. Lesson 2, your subconscious mind is creating your reality even if it feels like your conscious mind. Coming from someone who's kind of going through this and who has like divulged and is continuing to learn this with you, like through the screen, it's something like this is like going to the gym, but for your brain. So this is where I'm gonna give you homework. And if you're a part of my school community at all, you know that I give homework and I give homework well. If not, I'll also drop that in this description if you wanna join. It's free. It's all about building a brand. But anyway, that's beside the point. Basically, the assignment is pen to paper thinking about the beliefs that you already have. So this can be anything, maybe even revolving around money, identity, love, worth, whatever it is, you gotta rewire that shit. You do. Maybe an example of this would be saying like, that's so expensive. Honestly, sometimes we do say that. We do say that. But aligning with the frequency and aligning with what we actually believe in is knowing that we have enough. Maybe it's just not the time. It's just like, that's just like not in the budget right now. Or that's just not what I want to spend my money on. But the overall sense is I have more than enough money. And that in itself carries so much weight when you're kind of changing your subconscious mind. I'm reading some notes from my Substack. So here's some other examples. I'm not confident to confidence is a skill that I'm actively building. I feel like that's like a little basic, but I do hear people say that all the time of like, I'm just like not that confident, but confidence is something that you build over time, right? I can never stay consistent to I'm building consistency one habit at a time. Same thing, it's created over time. And so everything you can think of is basically allowing for a reframe. It's allowing for your brain to think of something else that you actually want to touch on rather than thinking, oh, it has to be this one ginormous thing of like, I need money, I have to have money, I'm a money magnet. Like, no, it can just be more of like, I have plenty of money. Like, I have more than enough. I'll be fine. The final lesson. I think that's sometimes that people think of this as a little controversial. So if you're still with me, thank you, 1. But 2, it's because people think it's a little woo, which, I mean, we all need a little woo in our life. You're watching this video probably because you believe in woo, or honestly because subconscious mind is literally your brain, and all of this is backed by science. But anyway, the point of it being woo is like meditation. That's the thing that is ultimately going to be the final lesson, because we gotta turn off our conscious brain in order to retrain our subconscious brain. Reprogramming your mind is something that you have to do throughout the day, every day, all the time. And like I said, it takes reps, it takes practice, it takes going to the gym regularly. It takes giving yourself the love and attention that you know you deserve and want, but actually making it happen. And consciously, you have to take the time to identify what are the things that you do believe and you want to start believing in, and then use meditation to kind of be in that space to cultivate a new energy. I think of any of this as a concept that basically you do have to learn again, because it's like learning math or learning how to edit or learning how to track your bills or learning how to pay a mortgage. Whatever it is, you have to do it sometimes a little bit more than once in order for it to actually stick, right? If I needed to go grab a prescription and I can order it online, I need to go online, figure out where it is, and then after that, I figure out how to do it faster and faster and faster. This is the same thing. It gets faster, it gets easier, but meditation helps you reach 2 things. It helps you reach beta and theta wavelengths, which are really important for your brain in this state of being that actually allows you to change your subconscious mind. In order to be in that state of mind and to actually change your reality, you have to try meditation. You really do, because you have an individual practice that is going to ultimately change your life and it's going to flip it like a switch. Great. Please continue doing that, and please comment below what that is. It's not really going to work like that, just because I know we all sometimes want instant gratification because social media has kind of made us feel like it's possible. But this is something that really truly does take time. And so meditation, I get it. Like it may be this like big thing. You've tried it, you've done it, you don't want to do it ever again. Been there, done that, totally understand. But once I did get into it more, it really helped me understand that it was all about a state of mind. And it was all about who I was being on the outside world and internally, that I started to understand, oh, maybe I don't really want to think this way anymore, or maybe I shouldn't really be energetically this blocked. There are pieces that we need to really work through that are on a subconscious level over than just journaling and listening to podcasts and doing that sort of work. This is a part of the work too. All of that to say, when it comes to building your brand, creating content, and growing on social media, the thing is that you have to do this part too. You have to do the personal development. As they say, entrepreneurship is personal development on crack, which is true, because you will never be in more spaces and more time and more zones of just having to be better, think better, and grow, because that's what's required of you in this space. And so as I've kind of grown in entrepreneurship, it has definitely been personal development on crack, but it's been every single thing that I've appreciated about just growing, because without this, I wouldn't be in this place as I am now. I really encourage you to just take the time, write out your beliefs, write out some things that you really want to change, and then create some sort of protocol with this. How are you going to meditate, even if it's 10 minutes a day? How are you going to address the beliefs that you have? Are you going to subconsciously really catch yourself when you're thinking negatively? I've really had to do that, especially when I'm driving or something like that, and my subconscious thoughts are like, we don't have enough money, or we're never gonna meet any people, or oh my God, we're gonna fail at this YouTube video. Like, all of those things aren't real. I just have to tell them they're not, because I'm in control of my brain and so are you. You're not in control of my brain, but you're in control of yours. I really want you to just take the time to actually find a practice, find something that works for you, and just note that the subconscious brain, the conscious brain, manifesting, building a brand, all of this has to do with it. And so on my Substack brand therapy notes, I kind of go into this even more as far as the writing version, but this is kind of where I'm going to start talking about the things that are kind of involved with entrepreneurship, which is a subconscious manifesting, attracting, really being specific, and all things brand. And I know that that's a little different than most people are used to, but I would say that who cares? This is my brand. And if you want to join, please follow me and stay tuned for the next video.